Part 7 of The Whistling Monsters by B. Wallis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Ben Tucker. Part 7. Deegan sat on the park bench, stolidly smoking, just as he had sat for nearly 2 hours, and just as Vance had left him. That very morning, penniless and woefully dilapidated, they had landed in exotic Georgetown and dumped 2 very efficient, though unlovely, rifles alongside their meager baggage in the stuffy compartment assigned them by the half-caste proprietor, who, with a single shrewd glance, apportioned to a day the tenure justified by such slender assets. Thereafter, unable to endure the fusty poverty of their apartment, they had gravitated to the trimly beautiful botanical gardens, at this hour virtually deserted, and here had entered into a desultory discussion of the ways and means of alleviating their indigency. Deegan, save for the labor of his hands, had no solution to offer, and Vance, shortly sinking into an apathetic self-commune and betraying but the most ephemeral interest in the subject, naturally the discussion languished. Abruptly Vance had risen and casually observed, "Say, Deegan, there's a man I know. Hangs out in this burg. I'm going to look him up. He may know of something. Wait here for me." And then immediately he made off at a brisk pace, leaving his partner open-mouthed but uncomplaining to his solitary vigil. That was nearly 2 hours back, and the great-thewed, rough-hewn Deegan, whose daily life for forgotten years had been an almost monotonous repetition of desperate risks lightly accepted and miraculously survived, became at once a hesitating, even timorous intruder amid such alien environment. Visions of unguessable accidents or fateful, youth-enticing allurements assaulted his imagination, more and more persistently as the moments sped. Yet never a twinge of doubt had sobered him when, with Vance, in the gray of dawn, like a living tornado, the 2 men had burst upon the slumbering savages, yelling, roaring curses as they laid about them with rough-fashioned clubs. In a twinkling they had swept their despoilers into a panic-stricken rout, never doubting but their assailants were the loosed, diabolical spirits of defunct men thirsting to wreak vengeance upon the guilty, a rout that lost nothing of its frenzied haste when the crashing reports of 2 retrieved rifles added to the din and left the demoniac visitants with undisputed leisure to the salvaging of their pilfered packs. Then came toil-filled weeks of unavailing search for the yellow lucre, defeat, and the wearisome return. "Hello, Deegan. Longer than I reckoned," hailed a cheerful voice, and Deegan awoke from his gloomy reverie. "About time we had some eats," added Vance with decision. "Eat? Yes, we gotta eat. I reckon there's nothing for it but to slew the guns. Lucky if we raise $10 apiece, and I hate like hell to do it," was the grudging assent of the seated man. "Guns? Not this trip. See here." And pausing, Vance lugged from his hip pocket a little wad of bills, and peeling off several, thrust them into his partner's thick fingers, saying, "$100 apiece. That should keep us going till we pull out." "Pull out? What are you talking about?" said Deegan blankly as he stared in wonder at the notes. "Well, here's the short of it. Just a hunch. Fool luck. You can't beat it. Likely you remember I pocketed some bits of rock from that queer ledge. Also maybe you noticed now and again a chunk you fired into that awful bunch was heavy as lead?" queried Vance tersely. "That's so. Even then the heft of some of it worried me," said Deegan thoughtfully. "But just junk, not a color to a ton. I'll take my oath," he added with conviction. "Right, there wasn't. But it lay in veins all over and black as the ledge itself, lying trussed. I was closer than you and couldn't help marking them. Then somehow it got rubbed into me that some of the rubble had an odd shape, all curves and round lumps like small plums sticking out. Just now I've come from a man who used to do business with the bank I was in. Got to be quite friendly with me. Likely you've heard of him. Cameron, mining expert and manager of the Arequipa mines. Took a chance on his being straight or throwing me out. Well, he's a white man, enough said. Just took a squint at the chips I dumped on the table, promptly shut the door and said, 'Young man, spit it out.' When I'd got it off, he studied a while, then observed quietly, 'I don't know if you 2 went crazy or had a nightmare, but I'm going to chance it. I'll stake you both, though I want you to get a hustle on. Beat it back to that crazy canyon, and stake the whole country. Your partner's wise to the outfit necessary. Go to Ramon's, tell him to bill me. Leave those stones with me, too risky toting them around, and mind not a drop of booze until the stakes are in. By the way, we go 50-50. That suit you?" I nodded. "All right. See me before you leave," he said. "Good day." "But what is it?" I asked, staggered by all this. "What is it? My suffering aunt," he asked. "What is it?" said he, glaring at me. "Well, you young lucky ass, it's about the richest samples of pitch blende, the radium ore, I ever clapped eyes on. Worth heaven only knows how much. Which reminds me, likely you haven't got any too much now. Here, I'll phone the bank to cash this." And he was scrawling a check as he spoke. Before I knew what had happened, he'd shooed me out. That's all there was to it. Now, let's eat. We can chew the rag over a decent meal. "Well, I reckon luck's her middle name. And even chances he's white. But you're the whitest guy I ever struck, which is aces high with me," said Deegan slowly. "Yes, we'll eat, and after that we'll raise the dust on the trail back to blow that nest of devil's spewings to the hell they came from," he added in a fierce triumph, as rising, the two adventurers swung off to town and hard-earned success. End of Part 7. End of The Whistling Monsters by B. Wallis.